Welcome again, third year students. We were doing preludes by T.S Eilot. We had finished first and second sections of the preludes, and we had half finished the third one. So, to maintain the continuity, I will read out the third section again. You tossed a blanket from the bed. You lay upon your back and waited. You dozed and watched the night, revealing the thousand sordid images of which your soul was constituted. They flickered against the ceiling. We had done till this line. And when all the world came back, and the light crept between the shutters, and you heard the sparrows in the gutters, you had such a vision of the street as the street hardly understands. Sitting along the bed's edge, where you curled the papers from your hair or clasped the yellow sole of feet in the palms of both soiled hands. So here again an image of fractured personality, an image of broken beliefs. So here a lady is being described. She has woke up from her sleep and the ceiling is reflecting her nightmares. And the poet says that your nightmares are always constituted of your own experiences, your own desires, your own yearnings. So she has woke up and she is looking on the ceiling, and the ceiling is reverberating with her own dreams. And when all the world came back means when consciousness returned and the light crept between the shutters. Now notice the word crept. The light is not shining, but it is creeping between the shutters of the windows and of the doors, and you heard the sparrows in the gutters. Now you see what sort of image he is creating. Sparrows are chirping not from the trees, but they are chirping from the gutters. You had such a vision of the street as the street hardly understands. He says that the dream which the lady had during the night was of a street. And here it is very symbolic that the dream of the street was such that even the street does not understand. So the vision is very scary. Now the symbol is that the street means the way, the path. The path is not clear for the youth. They have gone astray from the path. They don't know the right path to follow. And that pathlessness is reflected in the nightmares of the youth. And then he says that that dream was so strange that even the street could not understand it. And he explains the image of the lady who is concerned about her outer beauty, who is concerned about her physical beauty. She has curled her hair during the night so that she might look beautiful in the morning. But nobody is concerned about the beauty and the peace of the soul, of the mind. You curl the papers from your hair. So the first thing she is doing after she has got up is that she is opening the curls of her hair and she is clasping the yellow soles of feet. Now notice the word yellow. Yellow is not a sign of good health. The soles of her feet are yellow, means she is not physically healthy, but still she wants to look beautiful. She is not emotionally healthy and she is not physically healthy, and she is clasping the yellow soles of her feet in the palms of both hands, and even her hands are soiled. So she was sitting on the edge of the bed, curling her hair, and perhaps she was holding her yellowing feet in her hands. So all these expressions show the vacant nature of her soul and heart. She is not healthy physically and emotionally, but still she is concerned about her looks. So, it is symbolic of today's youth which is only concerned about their outer presentation, but from inside they are broken. So let us move towards the fourth and the last section. His soul stretched tight across the skies that fade behind a city block, or trampled by insistent feet at 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock, and short square fingers stuffing pipes and evening newspapers, and eyes assured of certain certainties, the conscience of the blackened street impatient to assume the world. Now he says, now he gives an image of a male person whose soul was spread out tightly across the skies, which could be seen fading as the sun set behind the city block. And he says that this soul was so much suffering that he was seen trampled by hurrying feet at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Means his soul is not healthy. His soul is hurt by so many incidents, sad incidents. And at such times, one can also imagine fingers which are stuffing pipes with tobaccos. And it is a time for evening newspapers, and what happens that when one picks up the newspaper, we are sure of certain incidents. We are sure of certain scams. We are sure of certain incidents of rape or murder. So these are the expected news. Positive news is very less, and all this negative and scary and sordid news, they are in abundance. So he says, the conscience of the blackened street impatient to assume the world. So beneath all this, the street has a conscience which wants to eagerly to come forth into the world. Now notice the word blackened. The street has blackened. Now he says, I am moved by fancies that are curled around these images. Around these images and cling the notion of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing. Wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh. The worlds revolve like ancient women, gathering fuel from vacant lots. Now the poet says that when I see these images, he has drawn 3 images before our eyes, and he says that when I look at these images, I am moved. I feel sorry. And I am moved by the ideas that I have associated with these images. These are the ideas that are difficult to get rid of. One can't help thinking about them. And above all, the vague notion of something that is infinitely gentle but which is always suffering. He says that beneath all these images, there lies a pure soul of a suffering being. The humanity is suffering. But he says, wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh at the thought of what I have just described. Now he says that if you think of these images, you feel sorry for them. You feel sad. And the only way and the only let out is escapism. And he says, wipe your hands across your mouth and laugh. He also wants to say that one engrosses himself in intoxication in order to forget about all these sorrows. And the worlds will go on following their cycles like old women who can be seen collecting fuel in empty, undeveloped plots of land. Now, he says that world will revolve like ancient women, gathering fuel in vacant lots. Because here he has described images of broken and fractured personalities. But he says no change is going to come in the world and it will go on like that only. And he compares, with the help of a simile, compared the revolution of this world with ancient women. Ancient women who are collecting fuel. So, here also he wants us to know that the world will not stop and it will go on as it has gone till now. So, here in this poem, we see that modern urban life is a life consisting of suffering people, and it is something the poem argues about, that a modern man is suffering from drudgery and loneliness. Urban society isolates people from one another and ultimately it erases their individuality and it even erodes human morality. And the city in the poem is presented as a filthy, desolate place. It is not a beautiful place. It is not at all an attractive place, but it is filthy and desolate. There are grimy scraps of yellowed leaves and they are blowing around. Newspapers are being thrown on the streets, and the broken blinds and chimney pots are being hit by the rain. The streets, they are smelling of meat and smoke and stale beer, and there are shades in people's homes. And the most abundant product of urban life is waste and decay. Here, this poem is filled with a very sordid image of city life, of urban life. Now, at first, the city also seemed abandoned. No people are mentioned except for the vague reference of your feet. And this creates an almost post apocalyptic atmosphere of desertion. And when people do appear, they are just as dirty and dismal as the city they are living in. The poet's expressions like muddy feet, dirty palms, and yellow soles of feet, it imply diseases. As I told you that the lady with yellowed feet, she's not healthy physically, she's not healthy emotionally. And it is as if the city itself is passing through a disease. Now, you should also note that how the people in preludes, they lack any distinguishing features and they are instead reduced to their body parts. All these people are living together in this congested space, but that doesn't make them a part of meaningful community. Instead, the urban world seems to erase their identities, making them just a bunch of feet and hands. So, this poem lacks emotion, identity, and the environment itself is personified. Now, here the evening, morning, and again the evening, they are not described as something beautiful but something laden with smell of beer, laden with smell of meat. So, here we can compare the poem, Matthew Arnold's poem, Dover Beach. There also he describes the degeneration of spiritualism, and here in this poem T.S Eilot is in a way writing an introduction to his longer work, The Wasteland. Wasteland also deals with the death of spiritualism, the death of belief. So I hope you understood the poem. Thank you.